Here's a truth most men don't like hearing. Respect from a woman doesn't come from how nice you are, how much you give, or how hard you try to impress her. In fact, the more you chase respect directly, the faster it slips away. That's the part no one tells you, and it's why so many men feel confused when a woman says she likes them but doesn't truly respect them. Respect isn't logical. It's psychological. It's triggered by behavior, not promises. And once you understand the triggers behind it, you stop guessing, overthinking, and bending yourself out of shape just to be taken seriously. In this video, we're going to break down 10 psychological triggers that make a woman respect you instantly. Not over time, not after you prove yourself, but in the moment, through how you carry yourself, how you respond, and how you position yourself emotionally. Most men are taught the wrong things. They're told to be agreeable, always available, endlessly understanding, and emotionally open from the start. But what actually creates respect is almost the opposite. It's calm certainty. It's boundaries. It's emotional self-control. And most importantly, it's knowing your value without needing her to validate it. This topic matters because lack of respect is the silent killer of attraction. A woman might laugh with you, text you, even spend time with you, but if respect is missing, she won't take you seriously. She won't listen to you deeply. And eventually, she'll lose interest, even if she can't explain why. We're not talking about manipulation or games here. We're talking about psychology, how women naturally respond to certain behaviors and energy in men. When you understand these triggers, you stop trying to win her approval and start showing up as a man who doesn't need it. Before we go deeper, welcome to the channel. If you're here, it means you're tired of surface-level dating advice and ready to understand what actually works in the real world. This channel is about giving you honest, practical insight you can use immediately, without sugarcoating and without nonsense. 1. You don't explain yourself to be accepted. One of the fastest ways a man loses respect is by over-explaining himself, not because explaining is bad, but because needing to explain sends a message you don't realize you're sending. It quietly tells a woman that you're unsure of yourself and that you need her approval to feel okay with your choices. Men often think, if I just explain my intentions clearly, she'll understand me better. But respect doesn't grow from understanding alone. It grows from confidence in your own decisions, whether or not someone else agrees with them. Picture this. You say you can't see her on a certain day because you already have plans. She asks why. Instead of simply saying, I'm busy that day, you start listing everything you're doing, who you're with, and why it matters. You're not being honest, you're being defensive. And defensiveness instantly lowers respect. A man who respects himself doesn't feel the need to justify every move. He shares what he wants to share, not what he feels pressured to share. When your words come from choice instead of fear, women feel it immediately. This trigger works because women are highly sensitive to emotional certainty. When you explain too much, it shows hesitation. When you don't, it shows inner stability. And inner stability is deeply respected. This doesn't mean being cold, secretive, or rude. It means being comfortable with silence, comfortable with someone not fully agreeing with you, comfortable with letting your actions speak louder than your words. When you stop over-explaining, something interesting happens. She starts leaning in more. She asks better questions. She pays closer attention, not because you're withholding, but because you're grounded. Men who command respect don't rush to clear every misunderstanding. They allow space. They trust that the right people will understand them without long speeches. 2. You stay calm when she tests you. Every man gets tested. Not because a woman wants to annoy you, but because she wants to understand you. Tests are how women check emotional strength, confidence, and self-control. The mistake most men make is taking these moments personally. A test can look simple. She challenges your opinion. She jokes at your expense. She pulls back a little to see how you react. In those moments, she's not asking for explanations or reassurance. She's watching your emotional response. Men who lose respect react emotionally. They get defensive. They try to prove a point. They raise their voice, shut down, or overcorrect by trying to be extra nice. All of those reactions communicate the same thing: instability. Calmness is power here. When you stay relaxed, grounded, and unaffected, you send a clear message. You're comfortable with yourself, and comfort with self is deeply respected. Think about how different it feels when a man responds with ease instead of tension. When he doesn't rush to defend his ego. When he smiles, stays composed, and holds his frame. That energy feels solid, safe, strong. This doesn't mean you let disrespect slide. It means you address it without emotion. You don't explode and you don't shrink. You respond from clarity, not impulse. Women respect men who don't get shaken easily. Not because they're emotionless, but because they're emotionally disciplined. Emotional discipline tells her you can handle pressure, not just with her, but in life. A lot of men confuse calmness with weakness. It's the opposite. Calmness shows confidence. It shows that you don't need to win every moment to feel secure. When you stay calm during a test, you flip the dynamic. Instead of her wondering if she can push you around, she starts wondering what grounds you so deeply. That curiosity leads to respect. The key is remembering this: tests aren't about right or wrong, they're about reaction. And your reaction either elevates you or weakens your position. You don't pass tests by outsmarting her. You pass by being centered. Respect doesn't come from intensity. It comes from control. And the man who controls himself will always command more respect than the man who tries to control the situation. 3. You walk away from disrespect without drama. Nothing reveals a man's self-respect faster than how he responds to disrespect. Not the big, obvious kind, but the small, subtle moments. The tone, the dismissive comment, the lack of consideration. These moments are where respect is either reinforced or destroyed. Most men stay. They explain. They tolerate. They tell themselves they're being patient or understanding. But what a woman actually sees is a man negotiating his boundaries instead of enforcing them. Walking away doesn't mean making a speech. It doesn't mean threatening to leave or trying to teach a lesson. It means calmly removing yourself when a line is crossed, without anger, without pleading, and without drama. That's what makes it powerful. When a man reacts emotionally to disrespect, he shows that he needs her behavior to change in order to feel okay. When he quietly disengages, he shows that he already feels okay, and that his presence is conditional on mutual respect. This trigger works because women are highly aware of consequences, even unspoken ones. When you stay after being disrespected, the behavior gets reinforced. When you leave calmly, the message is clear. Access to you requires respect. A lot of men fear walking away because they think it will end the connection. Sometimes it does. And that's not a loss. It's a filter. A woman who loses respect for you when you enforce boundaries was never going to respect you long-term anyway. Walking away isn't punishment. It's alignment. It's you choosing yourself without making it personal. The key here is emotional neutrality. No lectures, no sarcasm, no silent resentment, just action. Men who command respect don't argue about boundaries. They live them. They don't convince women to treat them well. They expect it, and they remove themselves when it doesn't happen. This creates a psychological shift. Instead of seeing you as someone who can be pushed, she starts seeing you as someone who values his time and energy. That's when respect becomes natural, not forced. If you've ever felt disrespected and stayed quiet just to keep the peace, understand this. Peace without respect is temporary. Respect creates peace. The man who can walk away calmly is the man who never needs to chase respect. It follows him. 4. You lead without asking for permission. One of the quickest ways a woman loses respect for a man is when he constantly asks for approval before making simple decisions. Not because collaboration is bad, but because hesitation signals uncertainty. And uncertainty kills leadership energy. Leading doesn't mean controlling. It means being comfortable taking initiative without checking if it's okay every step of the way. Women naturally respect men who move with direction. A lot of men think being respectful means being passive, always asking, always deferring, always waiting. But what that actually communicates is fear of making the wrong move, and fear is not respected. When a man says what he wants, makes a plan, and moves forward calmly, it creates psychological safety. She doesn't have to guess. She doesn't have to carry the emotional load. She can relax into the interaction. Respect grows when you act like your choices are valid, because you believe they are. You don't overthink every outcome. You adjust if needed, but you don't freeze. This trigger works because leadership shows self-trust, and self-trust is contagious. When you trust yourself, she starts trusting you too. Men often worry, what if she doesn't like my decision? That's where respect begins. You're okay with her not liking everything. You're not trying to manage her emotions. You're managing your direction. This doesn't mean ignoring her input. It means you listen without losing your center. You consider her perspective without handing over authority. A respected man doesn't need permission to be himself. He invites, he suggests, he decides. And if adjustments are needed, he handles them without ego. Women respect men who can handle outcomes, good or bad. When you avoid decisions to avoid mistakes, you also avoid respect. Leadership energy isn't loud, it's quiet and grounded. It says, I've got this, without saying a word. The moment you stop asking for approval and start moving with intention, the dynamic shifts. She feels it. And once she does, respect comes naturally. 5. You don't over-communicate your feelings. One of the most misunderstood ideas in modern dating is that sharing everything you feel builds respect. It doesn't. Emotional honesty matters, but emotional overflow doesn't. There's a big difference. Men often believe that opening up more will make a woman see them as deeper, more genuine, and more trustworthy. But when emotions are constantly poured out without filter, it creates emotional imbalance. Respect fades when stability fades. There's a moment where a man starts narrating every insecurity, every doubt, every emotional shift. He explains how something made him feel. Then he explains why he feels that way. Then he checks if she understands. What started as vulnerability becomes emotional dependence. Women don't respect emotional dumping. They respect emotional control. Imagine a man who feels bothered by something she said. Instead of reacting immediately or unloading everything, he takes a moment. When he speaks, he's calm, clear, and brief. He doesn't dramatize it. He doesn't seek reassurance. He simply states where he stands. That's emotional maturity, and it creates respect. This trigger works because women feel safest with men who can process emotions internally before expressing them, not suppressing, but regulating. When your emotions lead you, respect weakens. When you lead your emotions, respect grows. This doesn't mean being distant or cold. It means knowing what needs to be shared and what needs to be handled privately. Not every feeling needs an audience. A respected man doesn't use a woman as his emotional anchor. He has his own foundation. He shares from strength, not need. When you stop over-communicating your feelings, something changes. Your words carry more weight. She listens more closely. Because you're not constantly speaking from emotion. You're speaking from clarity. 6. You make decisions and stand on them. Nothing erodes respect faster than inconsistency. Saying one thing today and changing it tomorrow. Making a decision, then backing out the moment there's resistance. A woman may not always agree with your choices, but she will always notice whether you stand on them. Men often think flexibility equals strength. In reality, constant shifting signals uncertainty, and uncertainty makes a woman question whether you trust yourself. If you don't trust your own decisions, why should she? Making decisions isn't about being right all the time. It's about owning your choices. When you decide something and stand on it calmly, you communicate self-belief. That's what earns respect. A lot of men crumble under pressure. A woman challenges their decision, and immediately they soften, over-explain, or reverse course just to keep things smooth. What she feels in that moment isn't relief, it's doubt. She starts seeing you as someone who can be pushed off-center. A respected man listens to feedback without losing his spine. He can say, "I hear you," without saying, "You're right, let me change everything." He knows the difference between adjusting thoughtfully and folding emotionally. Standing on your decisions also means accepting outcomes. If something doesn't work, you don't blame her. You don't get defensive. You take responsibility and move forward. That accountability is rare and deeply respected. This trigger works because decisiveness creates safety. When a woman feels that a man can choose, commit, and follow through, she relaxes. She doesn't feel like she has to lead or correct him. Men who are respected don't seek constant reassurance. They don't ask, "Is this okay?" after every move. They act, observe, and adjust with confidence. Here's the key mindset shift. Respect isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about showing that mistakes don't break you. When you stand on your decisions, even imperfect ones, you show emotional resilience. The man who hesitates loses ground. The man who decides and owns it gains respect, even in silence. 7. You stop seeking validation and start expecting respect. This is where a lot of men need a wake-up call. If you're constantly looking to a woman to confirm your worth, you've already given away your power. Validation seeking is subtle, but women feel it instantly. It shows up in how often you ask for reassurance, how deeply you react to her moods, and how much your confidence rises or falls based on her attention. Respect cannot grow where validation is being chased. Many men don't realize they're doing this. They think they're just being attentive or caring, but underneath it, there's a quiet question running in their behavior. Am I enough for you? And when that question is coming from you, respect starts leaking out. A man who is respected doesn't demand admiration, but he expects basic respect as the standard. He doesn't beg for it. He doesn't prove himself for it. He operates as if it's already required. This is where self-reflection matters. Ask yourself honestly, do you tolerate things you shouldn't just to keep her interested? Do you downplay your opinions to avoid conflict? Do you overgive hoping she'll see your value? That's not kindness. That's insecurity dressed up as effort. Women respect men who know where they stand, men who don't need applause to move forward, men who don't collapse emotionally when attention is pulled away. This doesn't mean being arrogant or cold. It means being internally anchored. Your worth doesn't fluctuate based on how she treats you that day. You show up the same, calm, steady, self-assured. When you stop seeking validation, something powerful happens. Your presence becomes heavier. Your words carry more weight. She senses that you're not there to be chosen. You're there to see if she qualifies to stay in your life. That shift is uncomfortable for a lot of men because it requires accountability. You can't blame women for lack of respect if you're not respecting yourself first. Respect starts internally, and once it's there, women don't need to be told to respect you, they feel it. If this section made you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. Growth doesn't come from comfort, it comes from awareness. Here's a statement most men aren't ready to accept. A woman doesn't decide whether to respect you. You do. She only responds to the standard you set and consistently live by. Everything we covered in this video comes down to one core idea. Respect is triggered by behavior, not words. You don't talk a woman into respecting you. You don't explain your way into it. You don't earn it by overgiving or sacrificing yourself. You earn it by how you carry yourself when things are easy, and especially when they're not. When you stop over-explaining, stay calm under pressure, walk away from disrespect, lead with confidence, regulate your emotions, stand on your decisions, and stop chasing validation, something shifts. You stop trying to be impressive. And that's when you actually become respected. A lot of men wait for women to change first. That's backwards. Respect shows up when you change how you show up. When you raise your internal standards, the external world adjusts. If you're honest with yourself, you probably recognized a few habits in this video that have been holding you back. That's not a reason to feel bad. it's a reason to wake up. Awareness is the starting point. Action is what separates men who stay stuck from men who level up. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these triggers hit you the hardest? Have you noticed a difference in how women treat you when you changed your behavior, even slightly? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I read them, and I engage with you directly. If this helped you see things differently, stay connected. More real, honest conversations like this are coming.